you, Elizabeth. Thanks for all of you taking some time out of your afternoon to join us today. You've got a real treat today. There's a lot of people that you need to make the CFC a success. You need federal employees. You need charities. We need the support from some of our key contractors. And this afternoon, you're going to hear from leaders of all three of those categories to help you get smart about what's happening with CFC events. You know, after the 3 years of COVID, you know, during that period, many of the CFC events and charity fairs and town hall meetings and all hands meetings stopped happening in many places. And it's been a slow process of bringing those back, depending on the federal departments and agencies. Some of those places are now, some are back 100%, some are back 80, 60, 50, but those events are really starting to pick up. And we really saw a big jump from the 2022 campaign to 2023. So we're looking forward to more of that happening today. I think what you're going to hear as we go through this is we're going to start to dispel some of the myths that have been around these events. They do happen. We do populate them with randomly selected charities. You're going to hear a little bit more about that process and how it goes. You're going to hear about some of the tools that are available to help you plan and execute those events and to encourage attendees to come back. Now, another half of this is really the question of what's allowed. And in August, on the 22nd, there's going to be a deeper dive into sort of the ethical concerns about events. What can you do? What can't you do? What can you do with a little cautions or some guardrails up? But ultimately, I think each session of this training is going to add a little bit more to your toolkit about how to approach the CFC and be a success. So this is going to build on some of what you heard yesterday, and some of what you'll hear tomorrow and beyond will build on this. So today you're going to hear from three people. Number one is Deborah Gale. You know, Deborah has been running the CFC campaign at the National Institutes of Health for 20 years. This is one of the jewels in the belt buckle of the CFC. You know, many people may not have even heard of the National Institutes of Health until the pandemic hit, but they have been around and key players for years with the CFC, and they're really experts in how to engage employees in getting involved in the CFC. And despite all they were doing to respond to the pandemic, they were still contributing over $1 million every year in the pandemic. In addition, you're going to hear from Jeff Brown. Jeff Brown is from the United Way of the National Capital Area. There are United Ways, both as federations and independent charities, in this campaign throughout the country and in every zone. So he's got one of the biggest portfolios of charities, and he's always working with federal employees to make sure they've got the people and the charities to help tell the story and to tell the story well. And then third, you have Samantha Barrett you'll hear from. And Sam is one of our contractors who runs our CFC Central Services. You know, early on when we made the switch to electronic systems, we had multiple contractors, and there was a different event system in, one in Seattle, there was a different event system in Ohio or in Washington, D.C. or in Southern California. And we heard from charities that said, we want to have a common platform that we deal with. We also had multiple help desks. So they wanted to have a common help desk, a common place where everybody could go in the same direction and your questions would be doled out. So you're going to also hear at the end from Samantha and how some of those systems work. But without further ado, I'm going to pass the microphone to Deborah Gale. And Deborah, I know people are going to have a treat. They're looking forward to hearing from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate that. You always set the bar high, and I hope that I can really live up to your expectations. Again, my name is Deborah Gell. I am with the National Institutes of Health, and I am really delighted to be here with you all today to be able to share and just show some of the things that the NIH does to promote the campaign. So just a little bit about the NIH. We are comprised of 27 institutes and centers that we call ICs, and each year the leadership is rotated. So one of our 27 ICs always has an opportunity to lead the CFC for any given year. So I'm always starting, with a new team. Next slide, please. So ensure that everyone is on the same page. What we start off with, giving our new IC an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the CFC, we start off with what is called a resource guide. So that resource guide has a wealth of information that's in there. It is actually tailored for the novice as well as the seasoned campaign workers. We talk a little bit about the CFC, and you can see some of the other agenda items that are there. We really dive into planning and hosting events, inviting charities, because this is what the CFC is all about, is about inviting charities and getting them engaged in all the things that we are doing. Also, we want to share also with celebrating successes, looking at the different milestones as we go throughout the campaign. And also we have a debriefing meeting so we can decide, what worked and what didn't work for us. So the next slide, please. So we start off with our questions asked: what do we want to do? How do we want to do it? And when do we want to do it? So we devise a system to where we have from pre-campaign all the way to finish strong. And so our pre-campaign, we have different tasks that we're doing. We're currently in our pre-campaign period, and that pretty much comprised of attending trainings like this. We sit down with calendars with our working group team and decide what we want to do. We look at the NIH calendar. We want to make sure that events that we are going to plan does not compete with any other type of event, that's going on, because we always want the focus to be on the CFC. During our Start Strong, we have our kickoff, which is really popular because our kickoff really sets the tone for what we're going to be doing, for the CFC. And then our mid-campaign, we want to make sure that the CFC does not fall stale. We want to make sure that our coordinators and our key workers are still energized. And then we have that final push, that finish strong during December and January. We want to make sure that we are going to meet our goal. Next slide. So some of the things, so I just want to walk you through some of the things that the CFC does to promote the campaign. One of the things we did last year, because there was a new theme, Give Happy, we wanted to be able to promote that in any type of way that we could. So we hosted a photo shoot. And we wanted to focus on folk that are not necessarily behind computers, because we can get those folks through emails or any other literature that we're doing. So we focus on our first responders, because NIH, we have our own small little community. We also call it a small town. We have our own fire department, our own police department, our own mail distribution, our engineers, our architects. So we want to make sure that we're touching all of those people to be able to raise awareness about the CFC. Again, as I mentioned, we had our kickoff. Our kickoff set the tone for how and what we were going to do for the entire year of the CFC. And during our kickoff, we always want to make sure that we are including charities. It is all about the charities. We want to give charities an opportunity to share their mission and to talk about how impactful donations make to them fulfilling their missions. We also involve all of our directors. Again, we have 27 institutes, which means we have 27 directors, and all of them have their own personality. So we want to make sure when we are promoting the campaign and raising the awareness, that the directors, that leadership is behind us as well. So one of the things we do on an annual basis, we call it a director's challenge. So we say directors, we want to challenge you to a particular activity. So last campaign, we had a pumpkin decorating contest, and we had 26 of the 27 directors competing. And what we did, we actually had a video cast. We had it aired via our video cast, and where the viewing audience had an opportunity to vote for their favorite pumpkin. We also included charities. We had 3 charities that was there. And I believe someone had mentioned yesterday when charities are being invited out to the event, we also encourage them to engage in whatever it is, that we're doing. So if we have like a costume contest, we encourage the charities when we're doing our virtual events or our in-person event, dress up if you want to, because we want to include them in everything that we do. The next slide. We also want to make sure that we're connecting with all of our campaign workers. So at NIH, we have different layers. We have the campaign managers, we have our coordinators, we also have our key workers. So one of the things we want to do is make sure that we're hosting different type of events. We always want to think outside of the box. One of the favorite things that we did last year is that we hosted a Zoom block party. What's a Zoom block party? You're in your box. Everyone right now is in a box. So we're saying rock your block. So what we did with the coordinators is say, show up at the Zoom meeting. Show up with a backdrop of your favorite, whether it's a favorite place, a favorite theme, a favorite cause, just so that we continue to raise awareness about the CFC. And then we also, of course, had charities. We want to make sure that charities are there as well. And when we invite the charities to any of our events, we want to make sure that not only are they sharing about their mission, we also want them to include any type of volunteer opportunities, because not only do we promote monetary donations, we also want to promote the volunteer opportunities as well. Another game that we did, because we like to have fun when we're promoting the campaign, we did what is called a mind teasers. It's pretty much word plexers. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with some word plexers that are here. And so if you look at the first one, we know that's mind over matter. If you look at the last one, that's Jack in the Box. You also see like the second one, you see forget it. So it's actually forget it. So those are the different things that we do to promote the campaign. And so we involve all of our campaign workers. And we say to them, you don't have to reinvent the wheel for certain things. If there's one IC that's doing something that's promoting the campaign, share it amongst the other ICs, because it is totally a different audience. And also, when you are planning events, when you are hosting events, make sure that they are hosted on the day that most of your employees are present. We work in this remote environment. Some are in person. We also have this hybrid. So we typically try to host events just Monday through Thursday, because we know the Monday crowd is just coming. The Friday crowd is pretty much looking for the weekend. So we want to make sure that we are hosting where we get the most audience, the most attention. And make sure when you are requesting charities, you provide them with all the logistics necessary. They don't know your agency like you know your agency. And also make sure that you have the audience to be able to accommodate. I really encourage you not to request 5 charities if you know there's only going to be 10 people in the audience. That's not fair to the charities. So we want to make sure that the charities get the impact that they are looking for. Because as we're in this virtual world, it has really been a benefit to us, because we are able to get charities that we have never heard from. When we were basically in person, we would want to target the local. But now that we're in this virtual environment, and we have been since for the past couple of years, we're able to meet different charities from other areas. So I encourage you not to only think of local, but also think of the other charities that are present as well. Next slide. Always cannot forget about our furry pets. That is something that is very popular at the NIH, even when we are having in-person events. Although we can only randomly request charities, that has been one of the highest causes within. So people always want to have some type of a pet charity, that is available. So we continue to even do those virtual things. So one of our ICs actually had a furry feathered and a Scaly Happiest Pet Messages contest. So that was another thing that was able to promote the campaign as well. And we cannot forget about the CFC Family Feud. I think this is one of the most popular games that was available last year. Again, we did not have to reinvent the wheel. We did not have to come up with how to do this. The CFC National basically handed it to us, and all we basically had to do was tailor it to our own event. Celebrate your successes as well as you're going through milestones. If you reach your goal, when you reach 25%, celebrate. Always think of some type of activity, even if you're doing something in person. Think of activities that will actually engage and that will bring people out. Think about the time frame. Think about the time of day. You do not want to host events 3 and 4 o'clock when you know that people are actually exiting your building. You want to get it during the core time, again, when most people are there. So know the culture of your agency, study past events to see how they went, and pretty much just have fun. This is what the CFC is all about. It's about the charities. And I'm just so excited that there are so many charities, that are here represented. We want you to come to NIH. We want you to have fun. We want to engage with you because we want to be able to do our part in helping you share your mission, because all it takes is one person, to make a difference. And I know that collectively, when we come together, we really do make a difference. Our goal is to help you. And so you let us know, even when we are asking you to come to our events, how can we make your experience a little bit better? Because we want to make sure that time in and time again, we will always get charities to our event. Next slide. So I hope what I have shared with you will give some excitement to you, and you will start thinking about, what can I do? It doesn't have to be a very large event. We just want it to be impactful. Don't forget about those charities. That's why we are here, and that is for the charities. So thank you guys, so much just for an opportunity to be able to share just a glimpse, a little snapshot of the things that we do at NIH, because we love the CFC. Every year we run it as if this is the first time we're running the CFC. So we get excited, we get our key workers pumped up, we get our coordinators pumped up, because we are the biggest cheerleader. So thank you guys so much. So next slide. So now it's my opportunity to introduce Jeff Brown. I've known Jeff for years, and Jeff is just one of the best of the best. Jeff is the senior manager with the Public Sector Giving United Way of the National Capital Area. So Jeff, I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Deborah.
Can I ask one quick question? Ms. Gail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Deborah Warren, and I'm a charity of, with the CFC. But also, I want to ask you, when you were talking about the NIH, if I wanted to connect with you all and have an event on January 10th, 2024, or come, by coming to your event, is it going to be virtual or in person? Do you have a contact email or phone number so we can call and further discuss this?
You cannot personally reach out to us. And Jeff is the prime person he's going to go into all of that, how charities are between Jeff and Sam, how charities are into a system, and it's a random selection. So you cannot personally reach out to me. It's a system and a process that you have to go through.
That helps me to understand. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Deborah. And I just want to say I am constantly amazed by the creativity that comes from you and your NIH CFC team each year. The events that you have are creative, fun, and most importantly, they build great awareness for the campaign. So thank you. And while I'm thanking people, to campaign managers, to loan executives, to key workers, and other CFC volunteers out there, both past and present, thank you for all you do for the campaign. Just please know that all the nonprofits appreciate all that you are doing every year. I'm Jeff Brown. I'm with United Way of the National Capital Area. And when I give a CFC presentation, quite often I tell this little story. So if you've heard this before, I apologize. But I'm going to say it again today because it's the truth. My first role in the CFC was literally a role. I was just out of school. I had taken a job with United Way of America in the productions department. And one day my boss came to me and he said, Jeff, we need your help. We're shooting a campaign film tomorrow. We need you to be there as an extra. We need you to be a construction worker who's waving goodbye to his family on his way off to work in the morning. So I show up the next day, wearing a flannel shirt and jeans. I'm dressed as a construction worker. And my role was to walk across the yard and wave. And so I did that 3 or 4 times, and I hear the director go, cut. Jeff, thanks a lot. That was great. I think we got it. Thanks for helping out with the CFC film. And I remember this vividly. I remember turning to somebody and going, what is the CFC? Well, that was 35 years ago. And I can tell you, I am well versed on what the CFC is. And I'm very happy and I'm proud and I'm honored to be here today to let you know what the CFC is and know best how a campaign manager or a nonprofit can take advantage of these wonderful events. Next slide, please. I like to say there are 3 main reasons why a nonprofit goes to a campaign event. The first one is obvious. You want to make some connection with a donor and have them write your 5-digit CFC number on a pledge form or on the online portal. But another reason is volunteers are a lifeline with our organizations. They're very important. They really help us make our mission and serve those who we need to serve. Going to events is a great way to let people know that we have these opportunities. If you're a church group, high school kids who are looking for service points, or just somebody who wants to give back and give of their talent and of their time, we're there to let you know that we also can use you as a volunteer and we have these opportunities. And then lastly, every single nonprofit that's in the CFC has a mission to help in some way, whether it's people or animals or the environment or some other cause. And going to these events builds awareness of our organization. You never know when you're standing at a table and talking to somebody who that person is. And they may be somebody who needs help from your organization and they didn't even know you existed. Or maybe they don't need help, but a family member, a neighbor, a friend. Being there lets people know about what you do and lets people know that you're there to help. Next slide, please. Now, my friend Samantha Barrett's going to come on in a minute. She's going to go into this, how this event portal works in detail. So I'm just going to give it to you in a nutshell. If you're a campaign manager, you're going to be given access to an event portal where you can go in and add just basic information like your address, the date you want to have an event, the times, the name of your agency. And then there's going to be a field that's going to say, do you want a nonprofit at your event? And you can have one, or you can have numerous nonprofits if you want to have a charity fair or whatever it may be. And let's say in our case here, we want to have 20 because we're going to have a charity fair. You're going to put that in, and they are going to generate not just 20 invitations, but at least 40, maybe 60 invitations that are going to go out to nonprofits that want to go to CFC events. And the first 20 they hear from are going to be the ones that get a spot at your campaign event. And once those 20 have been selected, you're going to get the names of the nonprofits and their contact information. And then you're going to need to reach out, introduce yourself, and then provide a couple extra details they're going to need to know that day. Next slide, please. Now, what are those extra bits of information they need? Well, they're going to need, of course, your name and contact information. If you have a secondary person as a contact information, that's great as well. We ask that you also provide a cell phone number. And the reason we ask that is if we need to get a hold of you, if somebody needs to get a hold of you on the day of the event, more than likely, you're not going to be sitting in your office or at your desk. You're going to be down at the atrium, or you're going to be at the auditorium or the conference room, wherever you're holding your event. And if somebody needs to get a hold of you that morning, be it a nonprofit, being somebody at the security desk, it's easier to get a hold of you if we have your cell number. We need to know what time you want us there. And then importantly, we want to know just where the point of entry is. Many of these federal buildings are gigantic. And it's very easy to go to a wrong entrance and have somebody tell you, oh, no, you want to go back around the other side of the block. That's where you need to go in. Well, the other side of the block, it's a huge block. It's going to take you a while. Often we have tablecloths, giveaway items, printed materials, things like that with us. And it's just that harder for us to get back around. And also knowing exactly where we need to go will ensure that we'll get there on time. We need to know if is there going to be parking available, either on site or if there's a parking lot or a garage or somewhere street parking nearby. Here in DC, we have a wonderful subway system called the Metro. If you're a campaign manager here in DC, please let us know if you're near a Metro stop. If you're a campaign manager somewhere else out in the country, please let your nonprofits know of public transportation options they may have. Next slide, please. Regarding parking, depending on your agency, and some of them have a lot of, they're very secure and you just can't pull into the garage. You need to give some information ahead of time. So please let us know if you need to know items like the make and model of our car, license plate number, color of our car, things like that. Also, we're going to, a lot of the agencies require personal information from the attendees. A social security number, date of birth, things like that. And so don't be surprised if you hear from one of the nonprofits that are attending, they may be a little leery about sending the social security number out via email, and they may want to contact you over the phone and give it to you that way, which is fine. But just let us know if there is additional information like that. The sooner we hear, the better. Deborah mentioned animals. Animals are loved. They are great at these events. I have seen over the years dogs and cats and parrots, eagles. I've even seen guinea pigs. Dr. Doolittle has nothing on me on the number of animals I've seen at CFC events, but they are wonderful. They get people to come, and they really add a nice festive addition to these events. Let us know the expected size of the audience so we can make sure we bring the right number of materials. And also, Deborah mentioned theme. Please let us know if there is a theme. If it's a Halloween theme, if it's a fall festival. One thing I like is a kickoff where it's kind of football themed, where people are encouraged to wear a jersey or a hat or a shirt of their favorite team. Let us know. I know there are a lot of nonprofits that would be glad to come dressed in a certain uniform, I mean a jersey, whatever it may be, or at least they'll decorate their table with little pumpkins if it's a fall festival, some kind of Halloween decorations if it's Halloween, whatever it may be. Even if it's around the holidays, maybe they bring a stocking, things like that. We would love to add to that theme and add to the festive atmosphere of your event. Next step, please. Next slide, please. Now, with my federation, and I know a lot of the other federations, we prepare our members before event season. We want them to be successful. We want them to be able to present themselves properly and to do the best to engage potential donors. But we also make them aware of certain rules. There are some rules that are very important, things that they cannot do when they go to events. So if you're in a nonprofit, please realize that you cannot collect names and contact information from attendees at the event, which means you can't put out a clipboard with a piece of paper on it saying, hey, write your name, your phone number, and your email address, and we'll get back to you with some more information on our organization. What you can do is bring business cards or have literature that has your web address on it. And if somebody contacts you afterward because of the information you shared with them at the event, that's perfectly fine. You can talk to them and contact them all you want. One of the biggest no-nos, if not the biggest, is there is no solicitation during a CFC event. You cannot put a jar out on your table saying, hey, if you want to give a couple bucks now, just put it in the jar. You can't do that. And you can't sell anything. If your CEO has a book out If you have a branded coffee tumbler or sweatshirt or hat, t-shirt, whatever it may be, you can't sell anything. There can be no money exchanged at a campaign event like this. And then also for nonprofits, it's very important to only go to events that you're invited to. Now, I haven't seen this as much recently. 15 years ago, this was much more of an issue. But you know, the way it kind of works is, say that two nonprofits are at a charity fair, and one they're just talking, saying, "Hey, I'm going to be at the Department of Commerce next week. It's really going to be a great event." And then the person next to him will say, "Oh, really? What time does that start?" You say, "Oh, 10 o'clock." And then that person will show up. Well, don't do that. Do not attend an event you're not invited to. And if you're a campaign manager and you witness any of these or anything else that you think maybe isn't on the up and up, let your loan executive or your outreach coordinator know. If it is a charity that's in a federation, they'll reach out to the federation, and your federation lead will contact you and tell you, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Don't do it again. If you're an independent, you'll hear directly from the outreach coordinator. And unlike baseball, where you have 3 strikes and you're out, CFC events, you get 2 strikes. If you do any of these things more than once, you're not going to be invited to any more events that campaign season. Also, we let folks know that sometimes these events are crowded. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of charities there. You may have to share a table. And then lastly, one of the most important things that we stress is, of course, you're there representing your organization, but you're also representing all the nonprofits that are in the CFC. So it's very important when you go there, of course, talk about your organization, but also promote the campaign, promote giving like this in general. Next slide, please. Couple quick ideas. Deborah mentioned the days. I think Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are the best. That way you're not dealing with people on Monday, Friday flex time. Mornings, lunch times are great times to hold these events, especially if you set them up near where there's going to be foot traffic. In the morning, if you can set up an event where you're going to be reaching a lot of people as they come in from a parking garage or from public transportation or the main entrance. And similarly, at lunchtime, if you set up near maybe the building's cafeteria or near an exit where people are leaving to go to a restaurant or grab a sandwich at a sandwich shop. And then also executive leadership. Involve your executive leadership. When you sit down with your team and you start working out your campaign calendar, one of the first things you should do is reach out to executive leadership and get them on that calendar. Get them at your event. Get them supporting the event. Many of these agencies, like as I mentioned, are huge, and regular rank and file don't get to see the executive leadership, if at all. I know if you're at Department of Commerce, Transportation, Labor, very rarely, if ever, do you see the secretary of any of those agencies. But if they're going to be at a campaign kickoff, it's more than likely you're going to get more people to come just so they can say they saw them. And once they're there, they're going to hear the CFC mention. And they're going to get that, and they're going to realize that, oh, it's campaign season. This is my opportunity to give back. And then also, campaign managers, this is something to be fun about. Use your creativity, put your creative hat on, have fun with this, run with it. I mentioned the football. I love the football kickoff tailgate thing. Also, the benefit of that is later in the day, if somebody sees Joe wearing a football jersey and goes, "Why is Joe wearing a football jersey?" Somebody will say, "Oh, he was at the CFC event." That's just a subtle way to get awareness built for the campaign. Halloween, fall festivals, and I also love field days. If you have a courtyard or a lawn, set up a cornhole tournament, frisbee tournament, something like that. And a great example that I know of is about 10 years ago at the Department of Education, the Secretary of Education was a big basketball fan at the time. They brought out a portable basketball hoop, and he had a 3-point contest with his co-workers. It got a lot of people and was a lot of fun. Next slide, please. For campaign managers and nonprofits, take advantage of the CFC toolkit at givecfc.org. It's created mainly for campaign managers, but there are many, many, many tools there for nonprofits to use as well. If you're a campaign manager, there's logos, there's email templates, Zoom backgrounds, you name it. Use those, create posters, get signage up around your building. If you have a building that has a monitor in the front or in the elevators, see if you can get CFC messaging on that. If you're a nonprofit, use these logos. Get them in newsletters, put them on your website, put them in email signatures. And when you do that, at each one of those things, know and use your CFC number. Put that in everywhere you can, on giveaway items, you name it. Get your CFC number out there and make sure you know it by heart. Because when you go to a CFC event, sometime during that event, you'll be asked for your CFC number. And if you don't know it, you may lose out on a donation. Next slide, please. Okay, here we go. In wrapping things up, my favorite part of my job is saying thank you. Thank you to past donors. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you to the nonprofits that come out and make these events so vital, and because of you, because of us. That's what the CFC is all about. It wouldn't be a CFC if it weren't for us, if it weren't for the charities. And then thank you again to campaign managers, to loan executives, to key workers, any other volunteer. Thank you for all you do. I know I can speak for myself and I can speak for the United Way system, but I think I can speak for all nonprofits when I say thank you for what you do. And then I think I can also speak for the most important people out there, the people that are getting help because of all that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you've done in the past and all you're going to do this year. It is greatly appreciated. Now I'm going to turn things over. Next slide, please. We're going to go to Samantha Barrett, the program director at Tribal Tech. And Samantha, please take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Jeff. Lots of really great information. It's really exciting to see everyone working together to really spread the word about the campaign through events. I know we went through different stages from a lot of in-person events. We were through the stage with virtual events, and now we're really coming back to where we have those opportunities to increase awareness, increase engagement through both virtual and in-person events. At the end of the campaign, at the end of the 2023 campaign, the Central Common Support Services team hosted multiple focus groups with both charities and campaign workers to really get some feedback on the process, what's in it for them, what do they want to see in events, and how can we really grow events, grow engagement through events, and really make sure that we're supporting charities, we're supporting campaign workers, and everyone's working together to collaborate and to really reach our goal, which is to support as many nonprofit organizations, CFC approved charities as possible, so they can continue with their mission. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So what's in it for you? Through our focus group, we talked to a lot of charities, a lot of campaign workers, a lot of federal employees to really find out, okay, what did they want? What did they want from events? How can we make it successful, and how can we educate everyone to ensure they are informed, they have the information they need to host a successful event, to successfully attend an event? So first of all, like some of the key points that we got back from charities, from federal employees, it's that face-to-face opportunity. Charities want to be able to be face-to-face with federal employees. They want to be able to spread the word. They want to be able to engage and really share their mission. Federal employees, they want to see where their donation is going, how they're spending their valuable earned income, and like how are those funds going towards charities? How is it supporting their mission? Events is that key opportunity for both federal employees, agencies, charities to connect with each other, to get to know each other and really learn more about the success that they are supporting by attending events, by really engaging. Supporting more causes. agency hosted events, they really bring together the charities with the federal employees. Like I said, as our goal is to support as many CFC approved charities to ensure that those charities can accomplish their mission, connecting everyone, collaborating. That helps to boost participation and of course support for the causes. And then have fun. We've heard it a lot throughout this presentation. It's really important to have fun, really make the CFC fun, enjoy being together, boost morale in the workforce. And it really helps to spread the word. If someone's having fun, enjoying themselves, excited about the campaign, then that's how you can really increase awareness, really spread the word. There's lots of opportunities. You've heard about some of the different events that Deborah has implemented with her teams. You've talked about some of the events that Jeff likes. So really think about ways that we can have fun, bring everyone together and be able to engage and communicate. And then finally, show appreciation. As Jeff mentioned, he likes to show appreciation. We all do. We like to be appreciated. So federal employees, we want to recognize them for all the efforts they have put in to support charities, to support these causes. Charities, we want to recognize them for all the great work that they're doing in the community. So really, lots of great opportunities. There's a lot in it for you, whether you're hosting an event, whether you're attending an event. So really think about some of these key areas when you're planning your events, because there's such a good opportunity there for us all to come together as a community. Next slide, please. How do you participate? We've talked, I know in yesterday's presentation, if you were in that session, you got to see the different web forms, whether you're a charity registering to participate or whether you are a federal agency, a federal employee hosting an event. There are two different web forms. You can see the links on this slide. As a charity, so how do you participate? We will have many different sessions where we'll be able to provide you with training step by step on completing the registration form. The CCSS team, Centralized Common Support Services, are developing a recording, and that recording will be available through a link on the web form. If you're unsure how to complete the form, it will be there to help walk you through. In addition, I know the local charity relations teams will be setting up briefings to help walk you through that process as well. So really important to think about when you're registering. One, please register. We have shared, the link has been shared out, I believe, from OPM in approval letters. There will be further communications that are going out from ourselves, from marketing, to really encourage you to register to participate in events. Again, the link is provided here in this slide. So please, please register. The more charities that are registering, the more opportunities we have to spread the word. Please attend briefings. You will receive invitations from the local zones, from charity relations, to attend briefings for engagement briefings. These briefings are really important. In addition to the sessions that you've been in, sessions that you will be in tomorrow, they provide you with all the tools, resources available to really make the most of your participation in the campaign. They will provide you with instructions, detailed guidance and guidelines on how to register if you haven't already registered. So please keep a lookout for that. Please attend the briefing so you can get more informed, more information on your participation and how to make the most of it. You will be receiving invites. Once you complete your registration, you will be receiving invites. So the invites will be coming from cfcsupport@charity.org. I know you've been asked already, but please make sure that you're whitelisting that email, cfcsupport@charity.org. It's really important because that's where your invitations are going to come from. There will be a phase, there will be a stage of different invitations. As a registered charity, you will receive the initial invitation that will include all of the information regarding the event. Like Jeff mentioned, the information that charities like to receive, it should include those. Look out for those invitations. and please RSVP. You will have 48 hours to respond to that invitation. If you're not attending, I also ask that you please RSVP no. The reason for that is that the system, it has the 48-hour wait process. If charities that were invited, so like Jeff mentioned, we may have 20 spots open and we're inviting 60 charities just to make sure that we have more opportunity to fill the spots. If charities are not responding, then it means we're waiting 48 hours until we can then start that process again. So the sooner we know if a charity is going to respond and if it won't respond, then that means we can give other charities the opportunity to attend the event and send out the invitation sooner. So really important, if you receive an invitation, please RSVP yes or no. In addition to that, if you're not going to be attending the event, if you don't RSVP no, you're going to continue to receive communications from the system for that particular event, because we don't know if you're going to respond yes or so we continue to communicate with you. So that's really a kind of a key tip there with your RSVP. Please RSVP yes or no, depending on if you're going to attend. And then also please attend the events. If you have RSVP'd yes to the event invite, please attend the event. If you don't attend the event, that means we've got a spot left open that another charity could have attended, and that's an opportunity lost. So please notify, you'll receive your communications from CFC support, you'll receive confirmation emails. Please contact us back at CFC support, so cfcsupport@charity.org, to let us know if you can't attend the event. Very important. For the for event hosts, so whether you're a campaign worker, federal employee, agency hosting an event, please attend campaign manager training. You'll receive invitations for campaign manager training. Please attend that training, because that's where you're going to get lots of tips, resources, information, instructions on how to complete the charity event request. So please look out for that. Please attend campaign manager training, because you're going to get a lot more information and more detailed information to help you. Please host events. This is a great opportunity. Like I shared in my previous slide, charities want the opportunity to talk to federal employees, to meet with your agency, to engage, to talk about their mission. Federal employers want to know how their funds are being spent, what is happening in different organizations, what are they doing, how are they implementing their mission to really make a difference in the communities. So please make sure you're hosting events. In addition to informing and spreading awareness of the organizations, it's also the opportunity to have fun, bring fun in the campaign, have some excitement, boost morale. So really help to make the campaign fun by hosting events. On this slide, you have the link to request a charity for your events. You will need to submit the request through this form. This will come directly through to CFC support. Some important things on this form are to make sure you're completing it with all information. There's a notes section in there where you can provide additional information for the event. So please provide that. Do you have any tables available? Is there anything special that's happening in the event? What is the event? Is it, I don't know, is it a tailgating event? Is it a contest? Is it just lots of information about the event? Because this is what gets fed into the invitations that go out to the charities. The more information the charities have, the more informed they are for making their decision on attending your event. So really sell your event. Complete the form with as much information as possible, so that those charities can really make that decision. In addition, attendance. In the form, there will be a section where you will enter the attendance, the estimated attendance for your event. Please be accurate and fair on the attendance. Like Deborah mentioned before, if you think you're going to have maybe 20 attendees, then that's really a smaller event that we really shouldn't be inviting 5 charities to. There's just very minimal attendance. So if you think it's a smaller event, make sure that you're notating that. If you're not sure of how many attendees are going to attend your event, please don't enter 500 attendees, because that information goes to the charities. They're prepared. They are working with a team. Sometimes these charities have a very, very small team. They don't have a large workforce. So they're taking someone from their workforce to attend the event. And we want to make sure it's as beneficial for them as possible. So please be fair when you're entering attendance. Encourage charity engagement and interaction. This is extremely important. So when you are building your event, when you're designing your event and you're deciding on what kind of activity or event you're having, make sure that charity engagement is an aspect of that event. So if you're maybe doing, I don't know, maybe a contest, make sure that the charities are involved in that contest so they have an opportunity to engage. If you're doing a charity fair, make sure that the charities are all in a room where federal employees, heavy foot traffic is. Try not to, or really don't separate charities from the federal employees of the events. Maybe, I know there's been some events where maybe there's been separate rooms. The charities have been in one room and the main event has been in another, and then federal employees have been encouraged to visit. Keep everyone in the same room so that everyone can engage with each other and connect with each other. Promote your event, really important. Really promote your event to build excitement. Maybe there's some key focus with your event that would encourage participation, whether it's maybe leadership attendance, leadership kicking off your event. Maybe you've got a key speaker at the event. Please make sure that you're promoting it to increase your attendance. Again, that attendance is really, really important to the charities because they want to be able to spread the word, to share how they are, their mission, and to really engage with federal employees. So a lot of times they're really working hard to have the workforce or have someone able to travel and attend the event. So let's make sure that we're considering the charities in this when you are hosting and really planning. And then finally, communication is really key. As a campaign manager, when you are hosting a campaign event, when we get to the end of the invitation process, your charity events are, the spots are full, you will get a notification from our system, an automated notification that will provide you with a list of the charities that have been selected and have responded to state that they will be attending your event. Please reach out to those charities as soon as you receive that list to engage with them, to provide provide more information, to answer any questions. Please don't assume that they have all the information that they need, that they understand what the expectations are. They have RSVP'd, yes, they do have the information for the event, but you need to close that gap between what they've received through the automated system, what they know about the event, and what you need them to know about the event. So please follow up with the charities when you receive that list. And then also attendees, please continue to communicate with attendees or potential attendees to really increase participation in your event. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so I gave you some information about really if you're a charity, if you're a campaign manager or a federal agency, about the event process, the charity invite process, and some of the tips about how to make the most of that process. I'm going to kind of go down in a little more detail, and I have split this up between whether you're a charity or whether you're an agency. As a charity, when you are submitting your registration form, please ensure you specify the counties you're willing to travel to. Now, this was mentioned yesterday as well, but there has been some confusion in the past regarding the county selection. When you are selecting a county, it's the counties you're willing to travel to, not the county that you are located in. So really, really important, please specify that. The more counties you're willing to travel to, obviously, the more invitations you're going to be receiving. When the random invitations are processed, They are processed based on the county that the event is being hosted in. So please make sure you're specifying the county you're willing to travel to. In addition, new for this year, so in addition, if you're a local zone, you will have the opportunity to select a second zone that you would like to participate in events at. For that second zone, you won't get the opportunity to select the counties. If you're selecting a second zone, then that means that you are registering to participate in that entire zone. The first zone, you get the opportunity to select counties. The second zone, you're selecting the entire zone. A reminder again, please add cfcsupport@charity.org to your contact list. Please get it whitelisted, because that's where you're going to receive your invitations from. That's where you're going to receive information about events from. So please make sure that's whitelisted. Please RSVP to invitations within 48 hours as much as you can. I understand that some depending on your organization, depending on your schedule, what's happening, how busy you are, I understand that that can be difficult to meet, especially maybe federations that are trying to fill that with one of their charities. We understand that you may not be able to meet that. If you can, please aim for that. But your RSVP doesn't close after 48 hours. It still sits in the system waiting to receive a response. So if you aren't able to respond in 48 hours, you haven't lost your opportunity. You can still RSVP. It's just there's less opportunity of being able to fill the spot the longer that you wait to RSVP. But again, as a reminder, please, whether you are going to attend the event or you're not, please RSVP yes or no. And again, look out for those automated emails. They will come to you from cfcsupport@charity.org. Attending the event. Engagement is extremely important. So when you are attending the event, please be memorable and engaging. If you have a table, bring displays to make your table exciting, interesting. Please actively engage with event attendees. Please get up, walk around, communicate, engage, tell your story, share the great stories about your organization, how your mission is helping to support local communities, those around the world. Please tell your story. Like I said, federal employees want to know how they are helping to make a difference, so please let them know. If you have giveaways available, that's another great way to make your maybe your display area memorable. Giveaways, if you're walking around engaging with federal employees, that's a great opportunity to engage with them and share a giveaway with them. And then promote event attendance. So promote the event. If you know that you're attending an event, you can push that event out, engage and really promote the event so we can increase attendance. For campaign managers, agencies, submit your request early. The longer that we have to fill an event, then the more opportunity we have to fill it. So please think about submitting your request as early as possible. We have a 14-day cutoff. So event request, charity event requests should be submitted prior to 14 days before the event. But that really cuts it close. It really makes it hard to fill your event. It also makes it hard or difficult for charities to respond because they have a very short time range to be able to RSVP and ensure that they have staff that are able to attend. So please think about that when you're planning your events. Invitations for all cause types. So the randomizer, when invitations are sent out to charities, charities are randomly selected based on parameters that are set in the event request submitted by the campaign manager. So what that means is, as a campaign manager or agency that's requesting charities attendance, you can select cause areas, you can select cause weeks. For every parameter that you select, that limits the number of invitations that are sent out to charities, because it will limit it. It will send out invitations to charities that that fall within the selected cause area, or it will send out the invitation to charities that are within a selected cause week. The more open you can leave that, if you to host a charity fair for all course types or all course weeks, that gives the opportunity for the invitation to go out to a wider list of charities. So please think about that when you're submitting your request. Please provide accurate event details. Again, that's important. Those event details that are on your form, those are going through the automated system. Once our charity relations team receives it, they process the randomizer, and then the invitation goes out in an automated email to the charities based off the information you provide. So please provide accurate event details and as much information as possible. Like I said, if you've got a special theme, if you've got a special activity that's happening, include all that information in that application, in that request, because then charities can be prepared as well. Communicate with the charity relations team and confirm charities. Like I mentioned before, it's really important for charities to be informed, to be contacted by you when you get that charity list. And it's also important for the charity relations team that are working in the system, managing those event invites, to know if anything has changed with your event. Maybe a date has changed, maybe certain specific details have changed. As soon as you have that information, please reach out to our charity relations team at cfcsupport@charity.org. And hosting the event, sorry.
We're getting past 4 o'clock, and we do have a bunch of questions in the chat. So if you could just wrap up real quick, and we'll get to some of the questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. As you can see on the slide, hosting the event, making it exciting, really important. And then if we can move to the last slide, please. Thank you. And we have talked about it. We have many additional resources. The links are available on this slide. And this slide does share some of the information. The additional resources are available to you. We want to be able to help you make sure that you are successful, whether you're hosting an event, whether you're attending an event. So please check out the resources. Please contact us. We are excited about this year. We're excited to work with you, and we thank you all for your support and engagement in the campaign. Thank you. Over to you, Tony.
Thanks, Sam. Sorry I had to do that, but I know there's a lot of important questions in the chat area. I think what everyone has heard is that pulling this campaign off, it involves a lot of things. It involves teamwork. It involves customer service. It also involves regulations. So as I answer some of the questions that were put in the chat, sometimes, there's rules about why we can and can't do things. So someone asked, could we have a raffle? No. If a campaign manager wants to do a raffle in conjunction with an event, he or she is going to need to get clearance for that kind of a gambling event from their ethics office or general counsel. So if you want to do something, if you want to give away something, fine, but you don't do something because if there may be different rules at the Department of Justice or the Department of Veterans Affairs or the Department of the Navy. So the raffle is a tough one, but put your code on materials. Give away candy, give away, things of modest value. So on the CFC pledge card, it says, no goods or services were exchanged for this pledge. Now, if you give somebody a bandana, from the Sam Barrett School for, Exceptional Children, they may not give to you. So that may just be a giveaway, but it may be a reminder. You may be giving away stuff that's, again, modest value, that has your number on it, that reminds people. That is okay. And federal employees will probably be walking around charity fairs with bags picking that kinds of stuff up. The question was, are all these rules written down? Well, I would say always consult givecfc.org for information about for charities, for donors, and for campaign workers. Plus, you are going to get all the slides. So all the pointers that Deborah and Jeff and Sam were giving you today, and all the pointers for future classes are also going to be available for you to refer to. Just trying to see if I'm. A question was raised about, can you put a QR code on your materials? So having a QR code on your materials, it's a two-way street. So the Office of the CFC has never issued any ruling that bans having QR codes. Because if somebody takes a picture of that QR code, no matter where they go, the individual is going to have to fill out a form and voluntarily give information to you. So we don't ban it. We do ban it. We tell you, don't collect business cards. Don't sell things. But if you've got a QR code that points to a web form, we don't have a rule against it. But again, somebody's going to have to give you information, and they may or may not. As Mike mentioned yesterday, only 20 or 30% of the donors release information. So a lot of federal employees see it, part of the anonymity of the CFC is a little bit of a benefit to them because their phone doesn't ring at dinner time and their mailbox is not full of mail. But if you've got donor names and personal addresses from prior years, by all means use them. A question was asked, hey, can we communicate to federal employees by email? No. The CFC is the only solicitation, and if your organization starts sending direct emails to people with .mil and .gov addresses, if they complain to us, we will have to take action, which could ultimately lead to you being dropped off the list for this year. So if you have people's personal addresses, personal emails, that they've given you in prior campaigns, by all means, use them to reconnect with people. We did put in the chat, there were some questions, who's my outreach coordinator in Ohio or Michigan? So there is a link in the chat that's also on the local zone page on givecfc.org. So feel free to always consult givecfc.org or call the OC in your community. Now, Sam, there was one question. What's the lead time between receiving the invite and the event date? I know that's hypothetical. In a best case scenario, what's the lead time?
It really, that's a difficult question to answer because it really depends on when the campaign manager submits the request for charities to attend their event. So ideally, when training, we do encourage campaign managers to submit their requests as early as possible. So we would love to give you a long lead time, like we would love to give you a month. But ideally, I think probably you're looking at a 2-week lead time, just depending on when those requests are submitted. We don't accept invitations through the web form for events that are under 14 days from the date, because we want to make sure that we give you a good lead time. There are special circumstances, maybe when that may possibly happen and you have a very short lead time, but in general, we try to give you as much lead time as possible. But again, with the campaign starting in September, having the list and the charities, all the charities registered from now through August, September, then we're really starting and running beginning of September. So that means we've got 3 months to get those events in. So possibly I would say we could say 2 weeks might be the average.
All right, thank you. There was a question, can a charity be a campaign manager as well? No, I mean, the campaign manager is a role that the federal department and agency designates. So if you are the NIH or the Department of Commerce or, you know, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, the head of your agency is going to tap a vice chair and a campaign manager. So a charity cannot serve in that role because you're not a federal employee. Now, if you're a federal employee and you serve on the board of a charity, we definitely want you. I mean, you're obviously an engaged volunteer, but you've got to run the campaign in a method that's fair and equitable to all. So why do we have all these rules? We have the rules so it levels the playing field, so that a charity that has deeper pockets can't, do things that charities that don't have as many resources. So it's out of a spirit of fairness and equity, and that's what we have to try to balance. At the same time, we're trying to be responsive to customer needs. So here's an example. 2 years ago, some campaigns came to us and said, we want to run an event just for local charities. Can we do that? So we've changed our procedure, and we will allow a campaign manager to run an event for the local charities with this disclaimer. You have to have a second event for national and international charities. You got to be fair to both. So if you want to run one, then we've got to be able to give the other parts of our list some equal exposure. Another question that came up, hey, our federation had a charity that was going to go to a charity fair at, the Navy Yard. They canceled at the last minute. Can we just send a sub from our own members? So we've agreed that, a last minute sub can be made by a federation of one of its own members. So again, we do try to balance that sort of customer service with the regulation to be fair to all. If you're the Environmental Protection Agency, you may want a few extra environmental charities at a charity fair, but you have to keep some seats for charities that aren't environmental at the same time. And heck, if you're the NIH, you may want to have more than just healthcare charities at your fair, because people live and breathe healthcare every day. So it's really this balance that we're trying to strike. And I know we're well over, so I'm sort of trying to look at the list of questions with one eye as I'm answering with the other. Where is the link for the cause of the week? So all of the marketing materials will be released through givecfc.org. And in August, there will be a presentation on all the marketing materials from the National Marketing Outreach Coordinator. So I would say come back for the August sessions, and then you'll get the links. Again, when they're approved, they will be posted to givecfc.org sometime in August. Now, again, this is where we're sort of balancing customer demand versus the availability of charities. In the past, we've always had to try to say, the first week of September is food week, and the second week is, this week, and the third week. And what we found is, if we say, September 15th is food week, we run out of food charities that can show up at events if everybody's planning food events the same week. So we're going to give the campaign manager the option of picking the dates for those weeks on their own calendar. We're still going to have cause weeks, but we're not going to prescribe what week goes to what, to give the campaign managers a little bit more flexibility, and to make sure we don't, use up all of our public safety charities on, the fourth week of October. And some campaign managers may not have even started their campaign at the time of some of those cause weeks. So be on the lookout, and please come back for future reference. Question, can charities leave materials behind? I wouldn't advise it, because they're going to end up in the circular file, or at least in the recycling file. Federal agencies cannot pass out your materials for you. if we do it for one, we have to do it for everybody. And, you know, I'm sure Deborah has a very nice office up at the NIH campus, but she probably doesn't have space for brochures from 5,000 different charities. So if she takes it from one, she's got to take it from everyone. So again, you know, it's allowed. Could she pass out material for every charity? Yeah. But is it practical? No. So again, you know, your stuff could end up just being thrown away. If you pack it in, pack it out. I mean, this is not the Grand Canyon, but it's a good rule to follow for charity fairs.
Sir, I have a quick question. My name is Deborah Warren. If you wanted to be in some other zones besides the zone that you're in, you would have to pay a fee to be in those zones. Otherwise,
Yeah, when you applied, you're either, you know, a national charity, an international charity, or a local charity. And local charities are put in this list for the purposes of, you know, where do we put you on the list? If somebody's searching for charities in a given zone, Ohio, Michigan, Chicago, what have you. Now, again, because of some of the work-live patterns, we would allow you to be invited to the bordering zones. So if you're, you know, in, you know, the mid-Atlantic zone, you're going to be like touching Eastern Pennsylvania and Southern Virginia and West Virginia. So I think that we would, you know, as you look at those, you know, counties to check, we'd certainly be willing to let you be in some neighboring zones. But you know, you start getting out west, and the drive time, if you're in the mountain zone and you're in Colorado, it's a long drive to the bordering zones in Oklahoma and Texas. So again, I think we want to recognize that drive time and the work-live patterns that people have.
another question. The zones, the charities that deal with education, you can the charities narrow it down to the particular zones that are really big on education?
You know, that's up to however you want to market. So, I mean, if that's your focus and you want to, you know, really focus on, you know, certain zones because that's, you know, how you've studied them, and focus your marketing where that occurs, by all means. I know that there's probably 5 zones where most federal employees retire to. If you're trying to reach federal retirees, you know, maybe going to the Northern Lights zone might not be as fruitful as going to Washington, D.C. or Arizona or Southern Florida. So again, whatever you study as far as, you know, the demographics and your cause area, by all means, you know, tie in with that, because, you know, in some federated campaigns, and I've worked for charities, there was certainly blackout periods where the federation would say to its members, hey, you can't do this during a certain period of time. We don't do that. Well, first of all, there's this little thing called the First Amendment. So the government can't make rules that says you can't communicate. So number one, you can communicate however you can within the fairness rules of the CFC. But number two, you know, in these days of target marketing and some of the stuff Chris Jarvis has spoken about and other future speakers will, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to tell your story well to the people who are likely to listen to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. So Elizabeth, I know you were sending me some of the questions. I think I've tried to catch most of them. Is there something big that I may have missed?
No, I think you got them.
No, thanks.
Okay. I know we didn't really have a chance to break up, but maybe I should invite Curtis back to the table, or Elizabeth, to to wrap things up. And again, the CFC staff from OPM will be back tomorrow. Hope you'll be back tomorrow. I think the first 2 sessions have been home runs. We're looking forward to more.
Thank you so much, Tony. Yeah, I appreciate you and Deborah and Samantha and Jeff for sharing all that information with us. And I thank everybody for staying online. There's a lot of conversation going on, and the engagement has really been great. A few things I want to remind you of. One is we will be sending out the presentations to everybody. We also will be posting the recordings of all the sessions. Just give us a few days. Next week, we should have that out. We will email you to let you know when it is online and where to go. Also, we have one more day of training this week. That's tomorrow. We're going to have a 2 o'clock session with Dr. Patrick Malone from American University, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the kind of the science behind philanthropy. And then we're going to hear from Woodrow Rosenbaum from the Giving Tuesday group. This is going to go over some CFC statistics. After that, we're going to take a break until August, and we're going to come back for 5 full days of sessions. And you can find more information on that schedule on our website. So I want to thank you again for being here, and reach out to me or to Robin if you have any questions about the training or need additional information. And we'll
One
look forward
quick
to seeing you
question.
tomorrow.
If you miss training like I did yesterday, can we email the CFC CFC support at charity.org and have them to send us the slides so we can go back over them and the recording?
Yeah, there's no need to initiate that. We'll send it out to all of the registrants. So if you had formally registered for this training, then you're going to be on distribution.
Yes, sir, I did. So we will
Okay.
receive a copy and email is what you're saying.
Yes, that's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Very good training.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Curtis, can
All
I
right,
jump
everyone,
in
have
with
a
one
great-
more question? One more
Oh, yeah.
question that was posed. And this is a great question. So when we're talking about customer, who is the customer? And so really both the donor, we've organized givecfc.org with 3 main sections. There's a section for the donor, there's a section for the campaign worker, and there's a section for the charity. So, I'm not going to be giving you the marketing 301 textbook definition of customers. We can't run this campaign without all 3 of these groups. You're all of our customers. And, so there's just different kinds of customers inside the government, outside the government, and even our contractors are, in some ways, another customer. They're an extension of our eyes and ears to what's out there. They have better outreach in many places than the 7 people who work at OPM on this. Thanks, Curtis.
Thank you. All right, have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.